morning. Welcome to Morning Moments. I'm so glad that you took the time to join us. No matter what venue you're watching this on, it could be YouTube or Facebook or Abundant TV or wherever, but thank you for joining me today. Today, I have a speaker, author, and I know she's got so many other slashes and things that she's done, and maybe she'll share some of that. Dr. Lynnette Simm. Welcome, Dr. Simm, to Morning Moments.
Oh, Andy, it's so wonderful to be here on Morning Moments. Thank you so much for reaching out.
Tell me, what do you do and why do you do it?
Oh, well, those are loaded questions. Let's see. We'll start with what do I do? Well, first of all, I'm a wife of 26 years, been with my husband for 30, mother of two 20-something daughters, one fresh out of college, as I was sharing earlier. I'm a life mentor, speaker, writer, author, a film producer recently. I also work for five. I had to look at my list. 5 different ministries in a variety of different titles. So I work for Pearls of Promise Ministries. I'm part of their television and radio show programming. I work for Stonecroft Ministries, where I'm a speaker. I work for the Dallas Dream Team, which is a ministry that works to provide grant funding for a variety of ministries in our local area. I'm part of a local Ladies in Touch luncheon in the Las Colinas, Texas area. And I'm also a board member and speaker for Becoming Free, which is a retreat for women who are dealing with sexual trauma. So why do I do all of these jobs? Well, I wasn't anticipating that, actually. I wasn't even anticipating becoming a doctor. I am dyslexic with mild ADD and, as my husband may say, not so mild OCD. With my rainbow color-coordinated closet, it can be quite annoying for him. But I slowly became educated because somebody realized that I was dyslexic. And that was at the community college level, where I couldn't figure out the grammar in the English papers. And so I was diagnosed and tested there. And with my husband by my side, class by class, paper by paper, and technology. Thank you, Microsoft. The little squiggly red lines really helped me get my papers going, especially when it came to spelling and things like that. But I started in education and thought I was going to be a teacher. I always wanted to teach. I would play school. But then I fell in love with psychology and got my undergrad in psychology. And then graduated. By the time I was, goodness gracious, 25, I was not very mature at the time, so I didn't think I should go into clinical work. So instead, I went back to my first love, which was education. And so I got degrees in education, adult learning, training, and development. But those were always focused on psychology. My master thesis was forgiveness as a therapeutical technique. And then I went on to get my doctorate. I figured, I've got this silver, I might as well go for the gold. And got a degree in educational leadership and change, where again, my focuses were on psychology bases, the motivation, development of differences physiologically and emotionally for boys and girls, and culture in the schools, things like that. So I was doing all that on the fast track, 15 years teaching, college professor, when I moved from my beloved Colorado to Texas. And I was not an online kind of gal. I mean, this whole technology stuff wasn't as great a decade ago when I was teaching. And so the computer boards and online stuff, I couldn't see people. And if I can't see people, I can't read people. And for me, that's very important. So I stopped teaching and I started writing. I am a sexual trauma survivor. I was sexually abused as a child from about 9 to about 14. A variety of people in my family, one being my stepfather. And I was dealing with a lot of issues, and surprised my husband that I was a hot mess is what they call it nowadays. I was a hot mess for many years, but through a lot of therapy, and I chose Christian therapy. Um, and I wasn't a big Christian person at the time, but there was just something about these women, specifically the one in Colorado Springs, and the way she welcomed me without, as they say, Bible thumped me or prayed for me every 5 seconds or throwing scripture at me or any of that. And so with all of my sins was able to show me God's best, as well as the psychological problems and problem solvings and skills and traits that I needed to get to a place of healing. All of that culminated into God speaking into me and saying, well, you have the skill to write now, so write a book. And so I did. And I wrote the book And the Day Came, with a co-writer, Michelle Hoffman. And together we spent 3 years writing and writing and writing, and turned it into a fabulous book, where then I started my speaking career, and Stonecroft picked it up and other ministries around, because it talks about forgiveness, and it talks about healing, um, from sexual abuse and all of my sins, because as I was abused, I began a life of sin because I was in pain. And so by the time I was able to fix all of that, I was this close to losing my marriage. And if it wasn't for the forgiveness of my husband and then the forgiveness of Jesus Christ, my whole life changed. He said, I love you, but you need to get into therapy. And so I did. And I met the Christian therapist. And as they say, the rest is history, because my whole life did a 180. And then I started writing for more. I started writing for Pearls of Promise in their blogs. I started, working with the founder, Lisa Burkhart Worley, in the radio show and TV show, Becoming Free, the sexual trauma retreat. The lady read my book, and next thing you know, I'm speaking. Next thing I'm on the board. um, Dallas Dream Team, wanting to help other ministries, trying to, so I have all of these jobs because I love helping women and I love helping young couples, which is what I do as a life mentor, which is a whole nother job that just came at me about 3 years ago. And, a friend of mine said, could I mentor her son and daughter-in-law, newly married, brand new baby. And I was like, I'm not a therapist, I'm not a counselor. I can't diagnose anybody, I can't give anybody drugs, She goes, but you've been through much, you've been through a lot, you have a lot of experience, you understand how hard it is in the beginning of a relationship, broken people coming together. And so I said sure. And then there was another client referred another client, another one. And so now this whole thing, technology of online, why I wasn't a college professor anymore, I'm now a life mentor. And I have mentees all across the United States right now: Ohio, New Jersey, Florida, throughout the Dallas, Texas area, Colorado, oh goodness gracious, Oregon, things like that. So each position continues to allow me to use my skills and my experience to help others for His glory, to help them with a touch of love from Christ, to see that you can heal and you can overcome pretty much anything. So that's what I do and why I do it.
When you were sharing your story, I was thinking that I'm so glad that God loves us just where we are, and He takes us just the way we are. We don't have to clean up to come to God. We don't have to change to come to Him. He takes us as we are. Now, He loves us enough to not allow us to stay that way, but
Thank
that
God.
happens. Yes, that happens with our walk with the Lord. And I hear people say, well, that's not the woman or man I married. Well, thank God, because you would have never lasted if they stayed that way. But thank you for changing. And God does do the change in our life if we allow Him. And what I also love about your story is that as quite often, God doesn't always call the equipped, but he equips who he calls. And
I cannot tell you the number of divine appointments that I show up thinking I'm going for one thing and I come out with something totally different. I go to a conference and think I'm representing Pearls of Promise Ministry and come out with a film producer making a documentary about the book that I wrote. The documentary is about to premiere in the Dallas area. It's called Tear Stained Forgiveness, Finding Hope and Restoration After Abuse. And did I think I was going to be a film producer? I have no idea. But there I am working on interviewing family members and helping create. And it's amazing what God equips us at each point, even though we had no clue what was planned.
and your gifts will make way for themselves, even past your handicaps, your disabilities, and what others will say it'll never happen because. But you say, God, I'm available to you. Not, don't give him your abilities, give him your availabilities. Say, God, I'm available. And he says, now that I have you where I want you, now I'm going to create in you something that you would never be able to do on your own. So you couldn't take credit for yourself. It's all me who've done it. And you go, really, it's all you, Lord.
I was surprised that of the early college professor jobs I got was one teaching English. And I went to my supervisor at the time, the dean of the general ed department. And I'm like, Dawn, I think you may have the wrong person. You do know I'm dyslexic, right? Like really dyslexic. And he says, I think you can do it, Lynnette. I have faith in you. And he handed me the English book. And so for my very first semester, I was literally a chapter ahead. But it's amazing how I still need an editor. I'm still dyslexic. Okay, I can catch a lot of things. I still need, but man, did the Lord like highlight every error that the students would make. And because I understood the struggles of writing, I believe I was able to give feedback in such a kind and loving way that it really helped writers move to that next level. I taught at college level, and then I taught the courses that were below college levels, the 060, 090, before you can even get there. And I loved telling students, now I'm dyslexic, so if I write something on the board and it's spelled wrong, if it really bothers you, help me spell it right. And then I would say, and right now you all are on your heads and your feet are waving in the air. And they used to think that that was funny because they were upside down or backwards, which I don't see things that way. But it was great to be a role model in such a way that I never thought I was going to, and then to write a book. I was like, okay, I could teach little grammar sentences, but you're talking about an over 300-page book? No. But then again, I didn't think I could write a dissertation, a master thesis. I didn't think I could do any of these things. And God knew that he put me on a path and he gave me the skills, kept equipping me.
I just retired after 30 years of being a nurse. And quite often my wife will say to me, so how did you become a nurse anyway? I go, I don't know. I don't know how I don't know how that happened. So yes, I understand that. You know, it's amazing what God can do, little as much if God is in it. So if you say, God, here I am, if he could take a group of disciples that were just unlearned and uneducated men, as the book of Acts says, well, who are these people who are performing miracles? They're uneducated men. They're and the Peter, what they said about Peter the most is, but they have been with Jesus. And there's my qualifier. I've been with Jesus. What else do I need?
Well, I've spent my ministry work really is more of a Moses type person. Okay, God, you're calling me to do this thing. So let me go hang out with Erin over here, have her teach me what I need to know so that when I am called to, you know, do what it is you want me to do. And in that case, it was speaking to Pharaoh after, you know, so on and so forth. That gain that confidence from wisdom. I find that wisdom is imperative to find in your life, which is one of the reasons why I do life mentoring. The young women that I speak to and the young couples, all they're wanting is just nuggets of wisdom, a little guidepost that isn't tainted by what their parents may want or what their spouse may want, or just an unbiased view of, no, really, you're in the wrong, and I'm sorry about that, but she's right, or he's right. And so I enjoy that a lot, that wisdom giving that was given to me. So
Well, down below in the comment section, especially if you're watching this on YouTube or Facebook, I'm going to put the links where you could find her speaking engagements, her books, and her what she's doing, where she's going to be in her speaking engagements, and all that. Please look at that, and please look at if you have any questions. There's contact for her as well. But more important than that, after you listen to this interview, I want you to take the time and pray for Dr. Simm, that God would just continue to use him. He's not done with her yet. God's got great things for her in the future, and she needs your prayers. My father used to say, I need the prayers and you need the practice. So you do need practice. So pray for Dr. Simm then, and
bring him on.
bring him on, bring him on. Thank you so much for sharing this with us, and sharing why you do what you do. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Andy. And I just can't share enough to remind people. My tag is always, there is joy in forgiveness. So I hope that you find your joy.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us, and keep coming back if you would, for some more morning moments, and God bless you.